All right. Great evening, great evening, great evening. Welcome to Gravity Talks. Woo! I am your host, Vicki Yelverton, the proud CEO of Yelverton's Enrichment Services, where we've been providing mental health and physical health services to the community for over 15 years. And I'm also a proud NCCU Master's in Social Work student. I'm pursuing my social work degree and I'll be graduating in the spring. Woo-hoo!
All right. Hey, everybody. I am your host, also Natasha Lewis. And let's see, I am pastor of Temple of Deliverance Church and also work in mental health. And I'm just excited about the panel for today.
Awesome. Well, we have a great panel set up for you all tonight. Gravity Talks Mental Health in Schools Part 2. Woo! So the first panel we hosted, I think it was about a couple months ago. We had an awesome panelist join us, and we talked about, the correlation between mental health in the schools. And we have a second rounder coming back with us, Mr. Jabari Wallace. I'll let him introduce himself in a moment. But a couple of our other panelists will be tuning in as well, providing some feedback for us after the talk. But we have some other great guests that are joining us tonight to kind of talk about the correlation between mental health in the schools and how this pandemic is putting a spin on things. So without further ado, again, I want to just kind of share about the correlation about mental health and kind of the purpose of Gravity Talks is to destigmatize mental health and getting us to talking about it more and understanding that, there's nothing wrong with mental health. Usually when people hear the word mental anything, they tend to have, some type of setback or tend to feel some kind of way. Well, just like physical health, like you have PE in schools, they should have something that addresses self-care and mental health in the schools as well. And so again, we have the panelists that kind of share their thoughts about those things. So without further ado, Miss Monica Hostler, welcome to the panel tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Awesome. Well, if you don't mind sharing with the people, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Monica Johnson Hostler, and I have kind of two lives that I think greatly intersect with the topic of this evening. I am currently serve on the Wake County Board of Education in my fourth term and in the midst of a re-election campaign that unfortunately, I'll have to jump off sooner than later to join another candidates forum. But that's one part of my life, and I'm married to an educator, and I have a high school student. So that's the education part of my life. But for my career, I've spent the last 25 years working in anti-violence against women and children. And so for the last 18 years, I've been the executive director of the North Carolina Coalition Against Sexual Assault, where we provide services, both mental health services, legal services for those who've been harmed by sexual violence. And we have an agency in all 100 counties. And so that's what I tell people my daytime job is, and pretty much has been, I would tell people all the time, it's truly been my ministry, which also led me to running for the school board in ways in which we knew children were coming into the school with that level of trauma and no one was addressing the intersection that trauma has on their education. And so here I am now, 7.5 years later, still making those intersectional conversations a part of my work.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for carving out time. I know you have another engagement, but thanks for joining us this evening. And once we finish introductions, we're going to pop a question to you, and then I know you may have to break away.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No problem. All right, Miss Tamra, share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tamara Barrett, and I have just entered or started my 21st year as a public school teacher. I teach high school English here in Wake County at Holly Springs High School, and I'm currently teaching juniors Honors English 3 and AP Language and Composition. I also happen to be a mom, so I've got newly 10-year-old who's in fourth grade and struggling, and almost convinced me to let her quit. Um, yeah, she's got that argumentative style down pat already. And then I have a 3-year-old son who is very active in all things. So I'm in the throes of life from the time my feet hit the floor to the time I lay my head down on the pillow at night. So that's pretty much what's going on over here with me.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for taking time out your busy after evening schedule to join us tonight. All right, cool deal. And let's see, Mr. Tabari, share a little bit about who you are, what you do. You're on.
Sorry. There we go. Am I good now?
Yes.
All right. I was told by Natasha that I better be muted and I better not talk a lot this time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that in right now. So, all right, look at that. You're gonna get me later. All right, I'm the principal of West Craven High School, proud and dedicated. 2018, a North Carolina State Principal of the Year, 2019 National Principal of the Year candidate, appointed by Speaker Moore and 2 times over by Governor Cooper to state committees. Advisor to the state board for 2 consecutive years, first POY to do that, and currently I'm a dedicated servant on this State Board of Education's equity team, to make sure we get that equity resolution and following goals across to each LEA and help them with their attainability.
Now, is this new?
No, it was in last year, but we're just getting noticed now. LEAs are beginning to hear it now because it's starting to go downhill now with all that we've been working on the past 2 years.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, congratulations. Well, welcome back, sir, to Gravity Talks.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right. So as I mentioned, we want to just dive right in, and we're going to go ahead and toss the question over to Miss Monica first, so that way she can go ahead and break away if needed. But one of the questions we're going to jump on, Miss Monica, and again, with your role with the Board of Education, what type of mental health supports? So like, you know, as far as mental health supports, especially amidst this whole pandemic situation, what types, or are you aware of any type of plans for mental health support being provided to both teachers and students that are experiencing fear and anxiety during this pandemic?
That's a great question, and one that many people are asking. And one of the first things I'll say is, as a large district, I always tell people, Miss Barrett rarely has any direct connection with her school board members. I have one person I supervise, and that is our lovely superintendent, Kathy Moore. But one of the things that's been important to me to advocate for, and I say to people all the time, you know, I am living and breathing the impact that COVID is having up and down our education system. So I clearly don't, you know, hide the fact that my investment is I'm married to an educator who every day I currently can hear him teaching math. And then I have a daughter who I can hear behind me. She's not quitting school just yet, but chemistry is giving her a run for her money right now. So I have a 10th grade daughter who is also in the midst of this. And one of the things that when I went to our school board and started talking about how are we going to address mental health prior to even returning after closing schools in March and before we came back in August, is no one had really considered what this looked like for educators, primarily because educators are quote unquote hired to do their job, their profession, their love in the buildings, but very little attention had been paid to educators. And so for me, that's been one of the things that I continue to bring up is we have to take care of those who take care of people. That's the framework of my day job, right? We preach and pay for self-care in my nonprofit because we believe that if you're providing ongoing services to someone who you know are coming with, you're taking on the baggage of all the people that you experience every day. And our teachers are doing that. Certainly at the elementary level, at least 20 kids, and at the high school level in Wake County, they are roughly over 200 students that they could be interfacing with in our large high schools. So for me, that's one person taking all that in and really not providing those supports. After great advocacy, I don't know if a lot of teachers realize, I know because my husband's on the state employee plan, that many therapists who you could actually reach out to through the state employee plan actually didn't charge a copay. And as a family, we took great use of that from March until now for our entire family. And so I think for me, if people don't know, that's something I hope people will look into, is a lot of private therapists who take the state employees plan were actually waiving copays as a result of COVID. So that's been one of the bigger things for me, is promoting. For our students in Wake County, we have been invested in social and emotional learning for probably roughly about almost 5.5 years of solidly trying to integrate this into our school system. And we are very fortunate, at least in my district, I harp on this with my area superintendents and principals, but many of our schools are now instituting a social and emotional period, or at least a block of their time that's dedicated to our school crisis teams, which is also new in Wake County. Our student support services put together crisis teams of school counselors, school social workers, school psychologists to be able to respond to the needs of our students. Our school counselors are now holding office hours, which didn't exist before either. So our students can actually schedule a time to talk to a school counselor using Google Meet. Now, I will say, having done several Google Meets with students before school started back, asking how could I help them return to school, whether virtually or in person, I have to say, I was surprised at the number of them that said that the person they used the most at their school were either a trusted teacher or a school counselor. I was glad to hear that, but very shocked at the number of students who that was the thing that they missed the most, was that they didn't have anybody to disclose. And I know, as a married to a teacher, I know that that's what the teachers hold, but I personally was very excited to hear our students say they used their school counselor. I graduated in the early 90s. We didn't use school counselors in the way that our students do. So for me, that shows the transition to the impact of mental health, and the fact that we're trying to normalize healthy mental health and really making sure our students have access. So my fingers are crossed that all of our students will, that weren't using it, will use it now that we're making it more accessible during this time. And hopefully we'll be able to continue this post-COVID.
So is there, and that's great, Miss Monica, because I like one of the things you mentioned about back in the day, a guidance counselor was the one that just picked what classes. We wanted some easy classes to take, right? So that's when we met with our counselor. It wasn't necessarily if we were having any issues or any concerns, because we kind of relied on maybe our social circle for that. But I like what you mentioned, that how do you kind of meet kids where they are now and kind of shifting the mindset of the role of that person. And so they're here to support you mentally, socially, emotionally, right?
That's right. Principal Wallace, you keep talking about that also on the State Board of Education, the importance of making sure our school counselors have a larger percentage of their time going to our students' mental health and not just choosing classes, which has been quite the conversation in North Carolina for several years now. But I'm still an advocate for making sure we're protecting that time for our school counselors for our students' health.
Awesome. And another thing too, because Ms. Tamara is actually in the Wake County school system as an employee. So is that readily available, meaning the SEL initiative and all that good stuff? Is it like posted on your website, or how are teachers and or students gaining access or awareness to the availability of this support?
So each principal is managing, Mr. Wallace will appreciate this. I tell people all the time, we have 191 managers, meaning every principal manages their school. And so they're all implementing it very different. My daughter actually went to one of our pilot middle schools. So her school 5 years ago started actually every morning. They did morning meetings and social and emotional well-being at the beginning of their day. So every principal's instituted it very different. I have middle schools who've made it the time right after their lunch period. So whoever the student would be going to immediately following their lunch, they're going there. But each principal has instituted it very differently. And Ms. Tamara, I'm certainly hoping, got my fingers crossed, that Holly Springs is definitely talking about how they're instituting it in their school. But the principals have had access, the school counselors and school social workers have had access, but it's really, I would say, a slow process of trickling down to the teachers, and that's really based on the principal.
Have y'all noticed like an increase with people utilizing the services lately?
We certainly have. So I had a meeting with all of the principals in my area, and it was, for me, it was good to hear from elementary as well, is that they've actually seen an access in, generally the way they describe it is students are a little bit slower to engage, right? They have to build up the trust that they can trust the person that they're talking to, and they weren't as necessarily as talkative early on, but certainly I also credit this to be that they were not in school from March until August. So again, we can debate why we're seeing more access now, but I certainly do believe the anxiety, or as one of the therapists I've been working with said, it's grief. Our young people have been experiencing a great deal of grief of missing their social circles and their peers. As you mentioned, that's what we relied on as our generation, and so do these young people. And we made a lot of false assumptions as adults that they use social media, but they didn't use social media to communicate. They used social media to communicate about what was happening in their life, which was school. That's almost 80% of our young people's lives. And so when we removed school, we removed the social circle that limited what they had to talk about. And again, most of us adults didn't realize that was a grief process for our young people.
Wow, good stuff. Good stuff.
I would now I would like to know, and I know you gotta go, but
I wish I could stay. This is my passion, as you can tell.
Girl, yeah, you got a lot. You got a lot.
Stay. No,
Mr. Snoop, we got you, brother. We got you. But I think that I understand that you guys have things in place for the students on site and at the school. But what about the teachers?
That's a gap. I mean, full transparency, that is a huge gap. Even when again, I like to try everything out on the teachers in my life, whether it's my sorority sisters. I don't do it as much with my husband because I don't want people to ever assume he's my pilot project. So I never ask him.
What's the word?
I remember the Alpha sorority incorporated. So I often ask them because I want to know if what we're doing at that board table is trickling down into our school buildings. And I can tell you certainly that is a gap, no doubt about it. Our teachers they are not feeling the same level of conversation that we're having at the board table. So when I talk about, 191 managers, as I talk to our director of student support services, I think I asked him probably every week in a row, so what are we doing again about teachers? How are we describing this to our educators? And not just our educators, all summer I volunteered at our food giveaways, at our device giveaways, and I worked with a lot of bus drivers and support staff, and they too are experiencing the same level of grief. And so I always say to staff, I know that I'm asking a lot of our district to do for people, but I just firmly believe that when people give their lives to other people, they're servant leaders. And as a servant leader, I feel compelled to say we truly have a huge gap there of supporting our teachers and our staff.
And I like what you mentioned, though, about, I guess it's kind of like the EAP program, having access to that. But again, it comes with being aware and understanding what is available to them, source, and then also not being stigmatized.
That's right.
And a lot of times people are hesitant to utilize services available to their employer for fear of, if this leaks out, if they see that I'm seeking these services for X, Y, Z, would they, discriminate against me? Would they treat me any different? And so I think, again, as we continue to create more awareness and destigmatizing mental health amongst the students, like Ms. Natasha mentioned, we need to make sure we're doing it amongst the teachers and the administrators as well.
Absolutely. That's why I'm hoping those that are listening and that will share this wide is a lot of our counselors therapists locally are waiving their copay. So you don't even have to use your EAP program. You can actually use your health insurance that teachers have that I believe is probably, for most people, if there's stigma or, fear attached to it, at least that's your private medical history that isn't attached to an EAP program. So I certainly hope that this is one way that we can share that information.
One thing I want to plug in, and I know you got to go, but, and I found this helpful. One of the schools that we support, we found when we had a professional, y'all call it the professional development meeting. And we came in and our clinical director provided with some overview about mental health and diagnosing and stuff like that in the schools. But we found it to be an opportunity where people started unloading their personal thoughts.
I'm sure.
The teachers breaking down crying in this training session. And so while instead of the formal supports of reaching out to an actual therapist, perhaps there can be an informal support, like a group.
That's true. That's a great idea.
To have a safe space to converse and talk and share, because a lot of them are feeling the same things.
That's right.
We kind of glean from our peers, just like children do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'd be a good opportunity to offer some type of support groups or different clusters of groups to meet and have an intimate setting and actually share their concerns and their thoughts, and have one person report back out to the principals or to the administrators that are champions that can make policy changes, so that way they can be heard. Because I think, again, they're missing that safe space to share, and they're not sharing stuff about school operations, but share stuff about like feelings and what they're experiencing during all this.
So I'm certainly going to bring this up tomorrow. We have our Wake County Public School Board meeting, and you will hear me. I will give you credit for that idea.
Thank you. They can call me. It's cool.
I will let them know you are at their service. But I mean, that's a great idea, not one that I put on the table. So I truly am going to explore that tomorrow and bring it up, for at least for us to begin to talk about what that could look like. And if we have, because we have a lot of innovative principals, I'm sure, and don't worry, Mr. Wallace, I've been following you as well, but I think they would take that on. I think they would see that as something they could do to support their educators. So I'm certainly going to bring that up, at least make it public so people can start considering it.
Awesome. Well, Miss Monica, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Your duty call. Thank you.
I know they're texting me. I'm going to watch the watch party to see what all of you said after I leave.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. And thank you for understanding.
No problem. Stay safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, team. So crossing over to Miss Tamra. Drum roll. So, and I'll let Natasha share, because I know she got some questions for you.
Oh, wow.
So how were you today? Because when you gave me your resume, you and Mr. Snoop, y'all got like the resume.
Pirates, by the way, pirates. Okay, just
here it's on now. It's pirate, Lord Jesus. I'm trying to find some Spartans or anybody to help me out. But so, and I already know how this whole thing goes. I got to give y'all time limits, because these pirates can go. So
guilty by association.
You can't even deny it. Okay, so as an educator and a parent, what do you prefer? Everything is changing, and see, we still got Mr. Snoop on mute, because I know how he feels already, because he talked about it last time. I never forget. I've been hearing it in my mind. Brick and mortar. So how do you feel? He's still muted. I'm loving it. How do you feel now with all of these changes coming up, and having kids at home and kids at school, and it's just going to be an adjustment for you. So how are you feeling about, everything that's happening right now?
I have to tell you that I'm very conflicted about everything. I would love to be in the school with students. Building relationships is what I thrive on. So whenever my students walk into the classroom, it is my goal to make sure that they feel like I see them, like I care about them, and what is going on in their life matters to me. I'm not able to do that via a Google Meet, even though I do really, really try to bring my energy across through the screen. More students are, coming on camera instead of, staying hidden now. Mm-hmm. More students are unmuting and speaking to me. They don't have a hard time, communicating with me in the chat or via email, but to create that rapport in the class is very difficult. So brick and mortar most definitely is my choice when it comes to creating relationships that are lasting. For instance, a couple of weeks ago, I received an email from a student who's in Washington, and he was in my AP Lang class, and he was just thanking me for kicking his butt in AP Lang because he made a 5 on the exam, and he didn't have to take this freshman course that all of his hallmates were just like beside themselves trying to do well in. They had absolutely no idea how to write an essay, and he had, placed out of it because I kicked his butt in high school junior year. And that's what I do. I just pretty much let them know what's up, how we're gonna do this, and you just roll with it. And I give them the support. So with high, expectations come high level of support. And that's just pretty much the way I handle business in my classroom. Now, in my house.
Uh-oh.
I saw you gave somebody a lecture or
I
the
give them the lecture. I'm good at that. It's the follow through. Because my kids have these puppy dog eyes. And honestly, I'm not even going to lie. You're just too tired to discipline the way you absolutely need to, when you need to, at all times. And like being a teacher from like legitimately from 6:55 till my planning starts at basically 11:50, or I can go to lunch at 11:50, and then I have 4 o'clock planning. But I am on from 6:55 to 11:50, and I was on with the 3-year-old here and my 9-year-old who was promising me that she was doing her work. And I'm hearing her say she's doing her work, and I'm hearing her logged into her Google Meet, and only to find out that she's not doing her work. So I just, and I beat myself up for that. But I want everyone to know that this is a whole new realm for everyone. I have never had to manage my kids' lives the way that I'm having to do it now 24/7. I will be honest with you. I have second guess parenthood. I'm like, what did I sign on for? I really did not expect this 24/7 thing to hit as hard as it has. And when Tyson started daycare back on going back on October 1st, like I felt the weight just lifted off of me. And now I can.
How old is he again? How old is he?
He's 3. And we were doing the potty training and all of that during the same time that COVID hit. And yeah, I could go on and on because, mental health is real.
So
I
wait,
called the helpline the other day. I'm not gonna lie. I called the helpline the other day. I needed an intervention. I needed
I
someone.
know that's right.
And to be honest, I've set up an appointment to speak with a therapist later this week.
That's right.
Just because dealing with life, and we go back into the building on October 19th, even though they've decided to extend remote learning for high schoolers for the semester. Teachers are supposed to come back and teach from the classroom. And so my daughter will be able to go with me to the classroom. We'll drop Tyson off. We'll go to my school starting October 19th. And that'll be the way we handle it through the rest of the semester. And we're just praying that we're able to maintain that.
Wow.
so when I heard you say that you second guess parenting, I was thinking you was gonna say you second guess teaching, but you said parenting, and I'm just like, but to think about what you're saying, it's like, you're a parent all day, basically.
You're not a parent all day. You have children. You are a parent all day, but you're not parenting all day.
Right.
So when we went to work and our kids went to school, we didn't see them until dinner time. And we had them during the weekends.
Right.
In summers.
I was talking about
a whole different.
I was just talking about like with the kids at school. I was that part. You was getting. Don't attack me, please.
I'm sorry. I don't even think about myself as a parent to my students.
Okay.
So much as their. She'll open it. She'll open it to me. This is what happens.
I know.
So, y'all seen Talk to Tank? Okay, just saying.
Yeah.
So what happens at school is I feel like my students are I don't want to say friends, but we have a relationship to me that makes it like they might say you are like a mom to me, but I am so open with them and receptive of who they are that they just see me as like Miss Barrett is that teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that means, that's who I am. Like, so where are you going for lunch? Like I used to think I was being mean, right? That wasn't what I was doing. They actually like that stuff. They actually like it when you real with them and you tell them exactly.
That structure. That means you care.
They do love it. And they have told me, you know, I like the way you give us life experiences, life advice without making us feel like we've done something wrong. And so I don't really want to view them as my kids because I think that would make me quit.
But you know, I think, well, Tamara, first of all, you know, I know you personally, and I know Snoop knows you as well. You have that personality. You have that personality. So I think, and especially teaching English.
I have 130 students.
You said 130.
130 right now.
Yeah, I quit too.
But English ain't even a fun subject. English ain't even fun. Like most English teachers, you don't think of them being, well, I ain't think my English teachers were all that cool. So for them, a cool English teacher, and for you to make stuff relative and make it real so that they can actually grasp and retain the information, you winning. I mean, of course they're gonna have a level of respect for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I do try. It's not it doesn't come easy. I will say that. But they are worth it. And when you get that email at 10 o'clock on a Thursday night from a student who is in college and should not be thinking about you, that it makes it worth it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Mr. Snoop, I gotta ask you. I
gotta get him. I want him to share about Ellen. About Ellen first.
Wait,
Snoop.
no, we can come to that.
Ellen. Tell us about Ellen.
This is relevant.
My name is next to his name. Tabari, share about Ellen.
It's messing up the flow. I want to ask this question and then you tell us about Ellen. We're not going to argue about this. Mr. Snoop, now she gave her input. Now you as a principal, and I know I have not forgotten your speech from last time, but have you gotten any feedback from any of the parents, parents, teachers, and the students about how they feel about, you know, this your idea of brick and mortar and my idea of virtual? You know, what is the feedback that you've been getting from this? Is everybody ready to go back, or what have you been getting? And then we're gonna go to Ellen. I'm sorry.
He shared on Ellen. If you would have watched the show, you would have saw what he shared with Ellen, and then that would make sense what he getting ready to say now. But go ahead, Tabari.
Well, everybody don't have cable, so I didn't see
that. Lord Jesus. Well, I will tell you this. I actually got what I asked for because our LEA gave the kids a choice. But in doing that choice, that pretty much is going to kill the teachers. Now our teachers are expected to do both. They're currently doing digital distance learning. And now they're going to have 10 to 15 kids in front of them at the same time. And they're expected to keep that same standard. So I kind of stepped into it, to be honest with you, Tosh. And to the point of, I see the relevance in the babies that need to stay home. I just had a class meeting with the babies this past week on Wednesday, so we can see how we're going to spend the Ellen money. And it came out about how they were concerned about coming back. They're in Craven Live. And I talked to the babies that said, and it changed my opinion. You know, Mr. Wallace, I want to come back. I want to be there. I want to enjoy Power Hour, but I have a sick grandmother. Or my mom is immune deprived. I cannot risk going in there and bringing something back to her. So I understand that. But in giving that choice, I so empathize with the teachers. They are getting like killed right now. And when we go back on the 19th, not only are they going to have to teach digital, and they're going to have to teach the babies in front of them and keep the standard that we've set, but they're doing the temperature checks. They're with the kids 24 hours. There is no break like in high school. Teachers used to get that period to go. I mean, so all of that. So yes, it is good that the parents have a choice and that you can go, but I feel again, I empathize with the teacher.
Now, this question that I have, I know you probably don't have an answer, but this is the question that I know America wants to know.
What
All right? This is for America. Every week, there's something that I ride down the highway and I see a big old sign that says North Carolina Education Lottery. Okay. And it's millions and millions of dollars and it go up. It'd be a lot of money. So why we can't get some more teachers?
I can answer that question very, very quickly. Over the years, I think for the first 5 to 10 years of the education lottery, it was solely dedicated to education, and it was really dedicated to education infrastructure. Thank you, Raleigh and Charlotte and Durham and all of you big hubs who grew 5 schools a year. You ate up all that first 10 years of money. We got just a little bit in the mountains and on the water. Mm-hmm. But now, through acts of our legislature, they now can go into that fund to take care of emergency needs throughout the state. So it's not the education lottery anymore. We get a percentage, but it's not solely dedicated to education. And we do get some funds from that, y'all. We really do get some funds from that, but it's not enough to staff teachers in a recurring fashion. Because once you get it, you might get 30 million this year, but next year you might get 15. So if you allocate your positions on that 30 million, now you got to come up with the extra 15 once they only give you half of what they gave you the first year. So you can't plan on that.
So are they going to pay the teachers more for the double work?
Really?
In the state of North Carolina,
you have these questions for America. This is for America.
Well, I don't know that. That's at the.
I'm sure he have an idea.
Well, no, I know about it. I mean, this is what you call salary employees. It's different with salary employees. You can work. I mean, if the superintendent says Tamara has to stay to that school from 6 to 8, and ain't a doggone thing she can say about it. Now, she can't do that over a 2-week period or a month period. Then you're being overworked, but then you got to sue to be able to get your own rights. So when you're a salary employee, they can do pretty much what they want and set the day as they see fit. I hate it because the teachers take upon themselves, Tosh, to do the job because, we service each and every, and they kill themselves. They set themselves on fire to warn the masses. But if your ship go down, you can't carry anybody. And I've seen teachers cry, and I've seen the kids cry behind this because it's a new norm. I'm sorry, Vicky.
No, I was just going to say, hence, that's probably why you also can't recruit and retain no teachers.
Exactly. We have the most vacancies in the high school in the middle of the year than I think we've ever had Craven County wide, y'all. This is when you look at the student side of it, just like Tamara said, these are babies that are used to a certain way of things, and they're used to being there, and their whole life was really 80% is revolving around school. But then that was snatched from them, and now they're having to adjust. Now you have teachers that are trying to take the traditional approach, what they're comfortable with. They're taking the traditional approach, and they're beating their head against the digital age, trying to find some level of comfort, trying to find some level of meaning so that it's, beneficial and they feel fulfilled. But it's not happening because the digital age is totally different.
Yeah.
And like you said, unless you have a parent that's right over you, or you have a child that's in AP or honors and they know their resume is their transcript and they want to get to a good college, they're intrinsically motivated. You don't have to worry about them babies coming up on Zoom. But your standard kids, where the gap is and who we need to grow way more than anybody, they're way behind. They're March 13th behind. Mm-hmm. They have not got on this digital age. They have not embraced it. And they're I'm telling you, when report cards come out in three weeks, the state is going to be shocked and a whole lot of parents are going to be shocked. Because you have no idea what's coming, y'all. Tamara, I know you.
Now they have us going into the schools, everybody, to take exams at the end of the semester.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they are placing their focus.
So what is this going to look like? Do you guys think they're going to do? How do you think they're going to perform, the kids on these exams?
Tamara, I'm gonna let you go. You're in the classroom. I'm gonna let you go. I'm not.
Well, I know what my 4th grader gonna do. I'm not playing. I'm just speaking from my experience. I am a high school English teacher. She is in school from 9:15 to 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
She gets brain breaks, but that's a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
And so what we've got is her like looking at PowerPoints with I can statements on them. And she's trying to decipher what it is she can do. Because you have not given her a task. You have given her your lesson plan to see through, to figure out what she's supposed to do now, and then submit that work to you. So I looked at it after I'm underwater with my papers to grade, because teachers now are trying to figure out, like Mr. Wallace said, how are we going to collect papers now, give them a different way to complete this particular task? And we are underwater with grading, and we're all grading digitally. So that's even more screen time. So yeah, I can tell you what my fourth grader's test score is going to look like. I mean, she might get a 2 if we pull it through. I looked at the level of work that she, like, so much work she has to complete for each task. And I'm like, you want her to do this in a day? A day. And this is a kid who is used to having a teacher walk them from task to task, modeling for them how to do it. And now, you know, you really want, like Snoop said, this intrinsic motivation. We haven't even taught our kids to be intrinsically motivated.
Right.
We give them trophies for showing up.
I mean, just like Tamara said, y'all, you remember the old adage, man. You are one caring adult away from success, or sometimes with some of them, Lord, it truly takes a village, takes multiple adults. And right now, y'all, those adults, if mama goes to work, there is nobody next to that baby at the house. There is nobody. And nobody's talking about it. Usually I'm positive. Y'all, I am looking at failure in the face this year, because nobody is grasping the enormity of this tidal wave that's coming to us when those first report cards hit. I'm serious, y'all. We are in trouble. And if we don't hurry up and wake up and do something about it, as a village, to rally around these babies, we're in trouble.
But that's what I want to know about, as far as, because remember when we, like Natasha was joking with you about the brick and mortar situation, the numbers, like Natasha said, I thought she was going to say the billboard is showing how the numbers are still going up with COVID-19. So the numbers have not stabilized. Should we still just open up the schools? Do we feel like that's happening too soon, or should we go that route? Because again, it's like there's a sacrifice. It's either the education is going to sacrifice or the health is at risk. It's kind of like, which one do you choose?
And it's that choice. It's called choice therapy. Choice therapy originated at the East Carolina University, and it is choice therapy, y'all. We don't know the individualized family dynamics. We really don't, and that's why we gave children the choice. Some areas in Craven County have no incidences, so it's fine for them to come on in and the parents send them. But there's some that seriously have some underlying conditions. By us mandating them come in, and then they get something, then who is to blame? It's you, because you made them come to school. So,
but signing those disclosures that where they are the whole harmless forms where they ain't, the school system ain't to blame.
Yeah, the school system ain't to blame, but you know, just like you see on TV on the national level, them whole harmless forms, there's a way around that stuff too. You get you a good attorney, but there's a way around it. But again, it just depends on the family situation, Vic. It really does, as far as safety, wearing that safety, and then wearing education. Education is not just learning. Education is the lifeline of our economy. Just like Taylor said, parents are not used to having their kids 24/7. I mean, we've been doing education for 250 years, and this is the first time parents really had to teach the kids really March 13. I mean, they had them the whole time. And now they've had them all. It's October, and they're still not back in school. So it's a lot to weigh in there. It's not just education.
And I want to say this too. Another thing, this is for the people. I'm speaking for the people today, by the way. But they want to know, where did y'all get this math from that y'all giving these kids? Because they swear out that they never did this work. Like some of this stuff, you never seen it before. So who, like, y'all changed it? Math, geometry is not geometry. Algebra is not algebra. chemistry. None of this stuff is what it
All
was.
the block, the triangle, carry the 1, put the 2 in the circle. I'm like,
Nobody understand nothing.
Well, wait now. Geometry is still the same, and algebra is still the same. It's just taught differently. We mix it all up now. It used to be algebra 1, algebra 2, and geometry. Now we mixed it to math 1, 2, and 3, which they throw trigonometry and everything else. They just shifted all the objectives around. So you don't isolate on one thing.
That ain't what I'm saying. I'm saying parents that are having to be a teacher now is looking at the homework and the work assignments saying, we never learned that in school. They done changed the whole dynamics. So they're having a hard time helping even 2nd and 3rd grade. They like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Because they feel like, y'all just changed everything. These kids are expected to be rocket scientists with the workload that they're getting. So, I mean,
I'm already said too, but then they also have to be prepared for these tests. So it's kind of like
what's happening?
Yeah, I think they're doing it. They're doing what is required on paper, but it's not really any common sense employed in there. It's kind of like, yeah, they have to do these exercises, but they don't have, like Tamara mentioned, they don't have that teacher to walk them through one-on-one in the classroom, stay after class, meet with, even though they're supposed to be doing, they could still have the option to stay after class virtually. But we all know a lot is going on, but we still got to get these babies to pass these tests, these standardized tests that are coming out.
Vicky, I can tell her the answer to that math problem. I already know what it is.
What's the answer?
I know exactly what it is. They took multiplication facts out of the curriculum like 7 to 10 years ago. I was at middle school when they did it. We didn't follow that lead. We kept investing in our kids. In the 6th grade, we called it the math blitz. You could teach your child timetables. That's what it was called. Multiplication facts. You can teach them those. You know how we learn 0 through 12. You can teach them in 2 weeks if you focus hard on them. If you do, you have just taught your child a life lesson. They will not be the children that once you give different change than what they put in the register at the fast food spot where they stuck. They're like, oh, crap. And they're pulling out the calculator trying to work it. Okay, we have got to go back to multiplication fact. That's that mental learning. We brought it down because so many children had anxiety when they had to sit there and they couldn't go outside and play until they learned the multiplication facts. And they got to the right one and they scrubbed it and did this box stuff. Well, this box go here, and if it's too many boxes, then it's a 1 over. It takes 10 minutes to do what it takes us 30 seconds to do. So when you get to the secondary level, while they're moving in boxes, the time is ticking on that EOC. You see what I'm saying? So the best way, if you want to advise America and your parents, Tosh, tell them to sit their babies down. The earlier the better. And learn that 0 through 12 multiplication facts, and you will not have a problem in math. I can teach you the processes if you can mentally compute. There's no problem in that, coming from a math teacher.
Now you need to write a book about that. That was good, because I just learned something. I'm gonna tell you.
That was good.
Next time they ask me something, say, y'all better do them timetables. That's all I'm
Y'all
saying.
better get them
Hey, Tasha, tell them the timetables. You can do factoring. You can do long division. You can do, I can go on and on. You can do it all. Once you learn your multiplication facts, you can do everything else.
Here we go. We got a comment say flashcards. That's what I had. I'm going to tell you. My daddy had the flashcards in the belt.
Multiplication.com, a teacher.
Ask me any multiplication number. I can spit them numbers off like nothing.
Yep. Multiplication.com. If you want a digital resource, multiplication.com. Put your babies on that. Let them race cars around. As fast as they get them right is the faster your car move. And you can actually play against different people. Them kids won't budge because they're trying to beat their friend in the little race. So multiplication.com. Write it down. That's what you need to do. Get your multiplication back.
Get that American multiplication.com.
But Snoop, you actually raised a good point, but you are an educator. Tamara's an educator. Most of these parents, that ain't their gift. That ain't their point.
I'm an educator, but I'm not a 4th grade educator.
Right.
I think that people make the assumption that because I teach, that this should come easy for me.
Right.
I still struggle.
So on top of you struggling, imagine the person that is not in education. So that's where we're trying to get to. So you got mental health occurring on all levels.
On all levels.
In the home, at the school, at the workplace, because parents are having to go back to work, but they stressed out because Ray's at home by himself with his older sister, who she got her own classes she got to be tuned into. She's trying to help him out. you know, and then don't compound the fact that there may be some IEP plans going on, and we ain't even go. That's the part 3 to talk about how the education system is not able to adhere to a lot of the IEPs. Ouch. Okay, but all that is compounded. It's a snowball effect, and like Snoop just mentioned, it's a tsunami getting ready to happen, and all within the last 9 months. It ain't been 9 months yet.
Well, I thought about it. I was like, this is like
What we gonna
birthing
do?
a baby. This really is. This has been
It
like
is.
the process of birthing a baby. It really has been.
So talk is over too, and we're gonna bounce back to this. But I think to get us a smile again, can you share a little bit about Ellen, the Ellen
Yeah.
show?
Oh,
Yeah,
Ellen.
tell us about that.
Ellen was awesome, y'all. Ellen was awesome. In a nutshell, and I'll be quick so I don't get in trouble later by Tosh. They were intrigued back in March, concerned with what we did with the signs. We delivered the signs to each and every senior right to their house, and then we gave them individual graduation. So I was kind of on the shelf with the show. I hadn't heard much from them, and then I don't know if y'all looked at it. I did the little dance the kids dared me to do, the TikTok dance for Instant Gold. Ellen saw that and told the producers, "Get him up here. I want him up here on Tuesday's show." Y'all, this was Friday. So they called me at 9:30, 9:45 Friday night, said, be on the plane the next day at 10 o'clock. And so I got on the plane at 10 o'clock the next day and flew out to North Hollywood. And then, they met you. Well, everything you hear about these shows is true. Green room, the stretch, Escalade, the limo driver getting your bags, they're putting you up in the villa, the detail to make sure you don't go anywhere, but they're there to protect you, but they're also making sure you don't go anywhere. But things like that.
How many times you had to take the COVID test, though?
3.
Wow.
I had to take it 3. The deep one, I don't advise that to nobody. God, have mercy. And then we had to take two rapid tests. Actually, it was 4 because I got one when I first got there. So it was 4 different tests. And but I gotta say, what you've been hearing about Ellen is I did not experience anything like that. Her producers were nothing but top notch. The production people was top notch. Everything that was there was top notch. Everybody was bubbly. Everybody was happy. Ellen's got the biggest heart in America, because what she pulled on me down there, yeah, if I was another type of dude, I might have got mad because she made me tear up in front of everybody, But what she did and how she did it was so rewarding, not only to me, but my entire school community. I mean, they still walking around with their chest poked out.
What she do?
She, number one, put a video together of my babies. And Tamara, you know about this. Those children, we spend 90 days with them per semester, okay? They never tell you truly their heartfelt feelings. You never hear the words that I heard on that screen from them little turkeys. You never heard it. And what they said it just broke. But she gave the babies $25,000. And she told me to spend it on them as I see fit, meaning central office can't get involved with it. So we can take care of our babies. And they chose. I got lists right here of different things they want. So we're going to maximize the money and make sure we bless them.
Take the stuff off the list. What they want? Just give me a couple things off the list.
Oh, Jesus. Let me tell you.
And then I got a question for you about the show.
Okay. About the show? Oh, Lord. Interestingly, the internet hubs and assistance for students without Wi-Fi was a big one. Supplemental band funds was a big one. Supplemental performing arts funds. They want this sign. We out there and we don't really get a lot out west. We're rural. So they want this blinking sign like they got in the city, that their face and their likeness when we're celebrating the homecoming queen, the student of the week, the football player, if you're on WITN, what so have you, we get to celebrate our students and they get to see themselves like the city schools get to see themselves. So that's the big thing we're buying. But other than that, again, band equipment, Wi-Fi hotspots. I mean, everything was really about bridging the divide of what urban has versus what we have.
Right.
Soda machines in school, weird. Soda machines, that was a big one. I'm like, if I get you soda machines, I can't get you but fruit juice and orange juice. It won't be the stuff you want in the soda machine, but we're going to get them a soda machine. That's what I asked for. So we're going to get them soda machine.
Get a student.
So speaking of drinks, I saw on the video you picked up the box water in the office and backstage and Ellen. Did you drink it? I just want to know what it tastes like.
It tastes like this Dasani. It was the weirdest thing, but you didn't have that plastic. We're so used to the plastic aftertaste. It had an aftertaste like you was drinking a milk from school milk cart. That's what it tasted like. It was so weird. It was good. It was good. It was good.
What else did you eat in there? Because you had a lot of snacks in there. Tell me about that.
Look, I'm gonna tell you what. You so nervous back there. I don't think I ate much, but I ate afterwards because oh, they told you to take whatever you need. So I'm like, okay, I'll take some things. So, but I kind of
let me come back.
Been me, bro.
Let me come back. Don't bring her back no more. She done cleaned up out.
Wow.
But, it was once in a lifetime, y'all. I'm gonna tell you that.
Well deserved, Snoop. I'm happy for you.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Yeah, Thomas, why don't you go watch it? What is that about? You haven't even seen it yet.
I'm gonna find somebody that's got cable.
YouTube, but I YouTubed it.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah,
Don't listen to her. She got memes. She got memes to it.
I'm gonna watch it on YouTube. I'm gonna catch you tonight, Snoop. I'm gonna catch you tonight.
That's
back over. I know that was a nice little shift in morale when you came back into school, like you said, walking around with pride. But what are you doing as far as morale boosting? Because we did unpack some heavy things about the gaps, the needs, the strengths, and still the weaknesses. What would you say are some morale boosting opportunities you're looking for your students and your teachers?
Well, mainly, right now I'm focused on those teachers because I mean it's coming down fast, buddy. And then when they're coming back with the PPE and the safety protocols that's going to be added to what they're already doing, I mean, they're just going to be at a breaking point. So we're pretty much invested in those teachers. We're investing in their social emotional. We're meeting with them. We didn't do the groups like Tamara, or like one of y'all. So was it Tamara that said do the groups, or you, Vicky? Somebody said do the group. So I'm going to bring that back to the table. But we're pretty much making sure that we're taking as much as we can off of their plate. That's what's doing it. Their plate runneth over. And we, as the administration, if we're calling the kids, we're doing different things to take off their plate to give them a chance to breathe and serve the students. Just like the board member said earlier, you say she has 120 something.
89.
191 school managers. Well, anybody can manage. All right. Hopefully, anybody can manage, but you got a leader inspires. And you got to inspire, invest, and make an impact on each and every. And that's what we're trying to do. And with the babies, they just ready to get back to school. I mean, they're crying. I can't do this digital, Mr. Wallace. I can't. You got to let us back in school. So we're coming back in school on the 19th. And so those babies that elect to come, we're going to take care of them as long as we social distance. And then we got to help the teachers bridge that divide.
Mm-hmm. Get a shirt made with Leaders Aspire. I like that.
We'll do.
And brick and mortar. I know Natasha's gonna suggest that.
I want that shirt too. If you get one that said brick, just put brick and mortar on there. I'm gonna wear that for you. Say, well, he was on Ellen too. But
you need watch the show, Snoop.
So I saw the clip. I saw you back. That's all I needed right there. I'm telling everybody I knew you. But, so look. Are there any concerns about these kids wearing? I've been wearing my mask, and depending on where I'm going, I go in Walmart, anywhere. I put 2 masks on because people in there still don't want to wear masks to do right. But after about an hour or so, my nose starts to run. Sometimes I even start sneezing. And I've been asking, and I know we're breathing in carbon dioxide, all that good stuff. So my concern is, what is the expectation or the plans for us to expect for kids? I know they've been doing it, but we're talking about in a school environment, and they're sitting in a classroom or wherever, however you guys have it planned, all day with a mask on. Like, what are we gonna do about that?
Let's see. I'll go after Tamara. She's been quiet for a while, and they got 191 schools. I got to hear this. Like, what y'all gonna do? And then I'll tell you what we got planned.
So I don't honestly know what they plan to do for elementary. I know this is wrong of me, but I almost tune out when I hear elementary because my daughter is virtual for the year. And right now for the semester, we are remote as well. So when the teachers come in the building, we have a document that we have to fill out every morning before we even leave home. And we have to submit it to our principal before we even go to the school, where we take our temperature and all of that stuff, that pre-form. And my concern is that if we're expecting parents to do that for their kids, I don't trust it.
Mm. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't trust that they're going to do that every day before their kid gets on the school bus. So that is a trust issue for me, because we're talking about K-5 going back to school, I think November 9th here. And I think that's every day. That's not on rotation. See, when we were coming back 1 week, like 3-week rotations. Students come 1 week, then another group the second week, then another group, and then we come back to that first group the 4th week. So that's what we were going to have. But we're talking about the elementary kids coming every day. Now, I will tell you that Tyson, he's in daycare. They don't wear masks at his daycare.
Mm-hmm.
The adults have them on, but the kids don't. They check them before they enter every day. He was supposed to start like after Labor Day, but he woke up, I want to say like that September 7th, and he had a fever, 101.3. Y'all, we haven't been anywhere like that. So of course you automatically think COVID, and I hadn't been sick. Tamia has allergies year round. They'd gone to the swimming pool. So I was thinking it had something to do with the pool. But had he gone to school, they were going to keep him out for 14 days, like, with the fever that high. They just want us to be safe and quarantine. So he didn't go back to school until October 1st, because by the time the 2 weeks had passed, it's like almost over. September's almost over. We might as well start fresh October. So my concern is what's going to happen when I take him to daycare and then I have to quarantine, because their restrictions, or their protocol now is so strict that any little thing they can tell me, no, take him home. So that's what my concern is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if everyone has thought about that, but life is about to look different when we do get back.
Have you thought about the parents that, you said that some of them you don't feel like they're going to turn in the forms?
Because I know that they send their kids to school sick.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like they may lie on the form too?
I think that they will.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that. I hate to say that. But guys, I have taught for 20 years. I've gotten double pink eye, strep throat, the flu, numerous times. These kids come to school sick.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I had to tell one kid, okay, you got to go home. This was, and then she had influenza B. This was back in January. I was wearing both of my kids had the flu back in January. I was wearing the mask and all that before, COVID happened for us in March. And I go to work because I'm trying to make sure that I can continue to stay healthy, to keep my kids healthy, go to school and not get my students sick. But then parents are sending their kids to school.
Yeah.
Sick, like really, really sick. And within a week, 4 of my students were out for influenza B. And that was in January.
Wow. So right there, because that's the vantage point from like what Tamara shared, her being an educator and a parent, especially of young children. So when we toss this over to Snoop, change up the scenario a little bit, Snoop. What if you have a student, let's say y'all open back up, or you have the children that have the choice and they choose to come back on grounds, and they come in with the mask, temperature check, but then they refuse to keep the mask on? What's the protocol for that?
We've thought extensively about this, and this is where it's good that we do have that Craven Live option. What we cannot do, just like we don't allow kids during normal school, that you come in and your violation of the rule is going to take the education away from the other 29 people in that classroom. Our job is not to let that happen. You don't have that right. You have a right to an education, but you don't have the right to come in and upset the instructional environment of a classroom. So we're going to treat it just like dress code or just like a disciplinary infraction. You don't keep that mask on. We cannot allow you to jeopardize the health of everybody else in there doing what they're supposed to do. So you're going to get probably sent for that day because they only come 1 day a week right now. We upped that to 2 later on around December. But we're going to probably send you for that day because you're already gone. You only come 1 day a week. So you'll be gone for a week. If you continue to do that, you will be mandatorily placed in Craven Live. You'll get your education, but you're going to get it from the crib because you're not following the process. You see what I'm saying? We're going to give you education, but I'm going to make the choice for you. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to treat it. And y'all, I'm telling you, the babies have been easier than the high school kids. Y'all, I hate to say it. You can play a game with them. Let's see who can keep their mask on the longest. Let's see who can. I got a bag of Doritos.
They snitching too. You take the mask off, they're going to snitch on each other too.
But you see what I'm saying? It becomes a game. You can play that game. Them high schoolers, they love to skirt the rules. So the mask's supposed to stay over your nose and all, but we all know it's hard to breathe. So they'll pull it or they'll pull it down. That happened during our promenade. And they'll pull it down. So they're not technically violating. They're going to tell mama, well, mama, I had the mask on, but. So, that's the problem we have in high school of the babies skirting the rules because they're uncomfortable. Now, we put in mask breaks. We're taking them outside for an hour in the middle of the day so they can have their mask off for a long period of time away from people. We've come up with all these strategies to make it that much more comfortable for the students, in the classroom. So they're not sitting there like Darth Vader the whole time with that mask on. We understand that. But during time of instruction, when we need you focused, you got to have that mask on so we're all safe. That's more like really for the teachers too, man, because there's a lot of them coming in there to battle with underlying conditions. And it's our job to make sure that transference doesn't occur. So, yeah, we're going to treat it. We're going to be principals. We're going to treat it just so either you're going to do right or we're going to send you to the crib and you just work from home. You can have your mask off all day there. Don't buy restaurant.
Well, that's good that there's an option. We still have options. How long do you think the hybrid option will still be available?
I think the hybrid, what we're hearing from the medical professionals, we're going to be in this thing until it's fully scaled and everybody gets it and we're back to normal. That's going to be next school year this time. So the hybrid option is going to be around all year long. I just hope the teachers can hold out until we return to normal because they're at wit's end. I pray for them every night. I am so terrified for the teachers finally getting to the end of their wick and then throwing their hands up. Because then what we're going to do? We've done piled everything on them that we doing. That everybody's doing with these grandiose ideas from on high. They pass it to us, and then they got the kids. So now you got to teach both sets of kids, and you got to do PPE, and you got to go and do the temperature checks 2 times a day, and you got to monitor for sickly type children. Then you got to contact the parent. I can go on and on, but it's just going to be tough for teachers. I empathize with them so much.
And yeah, I'm concerned about like kids with disabilities because I know individuals with asthma. It's difficult for them to wear the mask for long periods of time. And I know we're getting ready to go to full circle, but so are we not letting them come to school or are we making adjustments for those with disabilities that want to be there?
They come every day in our county. They will come every day. The EC children with IEPs and the self-contained babies, they get to come every single day. Now, the ones that just have extra time, those consultative type of IEPs, they will do the 1 day because it's not intensive intervention. But the ones who are in self-contained, your OCS children, your kids that are in self-contained, mild, medium, the whole 9. If you're in the room, you're in there every single day. You come in there every single day. So, and there's 4 different adults in that room. Boy, we're going to have to come up. We're going to have to be creative about that on my campus anyway, because there's 4 adults in there and 12 kids in one room all day long. And they can't wear masks. The baby's not going to they're not going to keep it on. Those kids are not going to keep it on. So I got to figure something out about that. We've already opened it up and let it air out. We have the air flowing through there. So we're working on that. But the staff have on masks, but the kids can't. They're not going to keep them on. So.
Anointing oil.
So we're praying for the teachers and we're also praying for the decision makers and you said the grandiose. We're praying for everybody because I mean this is a lot to look at, and I look at it sometimes and I'm like, they put a lot of money out and these kids getting devices for virtual learning, and then a month later now they're in school. I'm like, oh well, why do you? But that's just me looking on the outside.
I wanted to say this before we go to full circle, but again, being a business owner also, because we do have child and adolescent treatment programs, it does take a village. And even at my vantage point, I have to lean on my management team to kind of share their thoughts, like Natasha, who oversees our day treatment program, and my other managers who oversee our other programs, what makes the most sense. Because again, you still have to run a business, but we want to do it as safe and as ethical as possible. And so the grandiosos and the thought leaders and all those folks up top, it is challenging. This is new. Then nobody had no manual, no guide on what to do. The CDC didn't even know what to do when it first popped off. They said wear a mask, and they said don't wear a mask, and they said wear a mask. So I think we all have been doggy paddling together. But again, and I'll share in my full circle, just, I just wanted to say that sometimes at those vantage points, we just have to lean on folks that boots on the ground to share with us what they feel are the best practices to follow. So, all right.
All right. Well, guys, listen, I'm going to say this. This has been an awesome discussion, but we can't keep the folks all night. We got to let them go home. So definitely, you guys brought us so much.
Good. This was good.
Inside information. I mean, it was just so my question is, because I got like a lot of stuff that we didn't even go in. I know y'all looked at the question. We didn't talk about none of that stuff. Y'all got started and we just went in a whole nother direction. The program is subject to change, just like at the church. But saying that, we got to do another part, and I need y'all to come back, because I'm gonna have some even better questions for you, because I'm gonna watch this and then I'm gonna go back and say, well, you said it. And then
you gonna watch Ellen too at the end.
I'm gonna watch Ellen too. Yeah, but look, before we go, Snoop, can you show us that dance you did?
No,
Okay. He froze just like that.
He did.
I'm dressed from this way up. I can't stand up. We're gonna have to do that later. We're gonna have to show you later.
Okay.
Video. I'll pull the video, but I'll run it.
So next time we can play the video. Are you saying that?
Yes, ma'am. We can play the video next time.
And I want you to send us a picture of that sign when y'all get it too. I can't wait to see what that's gonna look like. That's gonna be awesome. But our full circle moment today is about, and I didn't write this, in 60 seconds. Share with us your thoughts of encouragement regarding this year's election.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to let you guys decide who goes first. She said, oh, wow. And he froze. So Tamara, it's on you. He's actually frozen right now. Oh, he just.
I'm from East Carolina, so I'm a gentleman. I will go ahead and defer to the lady. So.
Okay. I actually. Yeah, you would put me on spot. Honestly, we definitely need to be talking to everybody as if they are a non-voter. I was surprised this week when I found out that this, not even over 30, like she's probably just about 33 years old. She's never voted at all. And a white woman. So we cannot make assumptions that it is one group of people who is voting and who isn't voting. We need to treat everybody as if he or she is a non-voter and talk to them about the importance of voting and getting the word out to just everybody about how to vote and to feel comfortable about speaking what they know is right. I think that we have so many people right now who are talking about parties when we need to be talking about humanity and what is correct. And when we have people in office currently who are doing things that are not for the good of the people, then you have the right to vote them out. And you need to do the research so that you can make sure that you vote them out.
Okay.
Thank you. That was heartfelt. I felt that. Come on, Mr. Snoop. Your turn.
All right. I got little two quotes. First one is going to be, people may forget what you say. They may even forget what you do, but they will never forget how you made them feel. How do you feel right now? You need to think about that before you go into that booth. And also, on the rough side, pay now to play later, because if you play now, you will pay later. And that's just exemplifies and illustrates the reasons why.
He has the best freeze moments ever. Like he gets caught, and it's just like, oh, he heard me. Oh, he heard me.
I'm trying to get you back in.
There you go.
We need to call Ellen and get this connection right. What's up?
I mean, see, he's frozen again, but it's like a great photo.
Great smile.
There you go. There you go, Snoop. Come on through.
All right.
You
Okay.
on mute. Okay.
Yeah, I am. I had to tell somebody to turn the other.
Froze again.
We
And
always
Let's pray over the connection in Jesus' name. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Bless the connection, Lord.
amen. We come against that.
All right. Come on.
What was it? Teddy Riley and who?
Yeah, baby face.
Thanks.
There you go.
Am I good?
Yeah.
All right. Now, hopefully, it doesn't do anything. Okay. We always want our voice to be heard. Okay. And we always want our voice to matter, and we want people to understand. They go to Miss Tosh, they go to Miss Vicky because they need to be heard, they need to be understood, and they're looking for some comfort that of being heard. You go to the teacher and you go to the principal, you raise your hand, you participate in class, you want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if you want a seat at the table, this is your time. Only 64% of the only 64% of the population participated last time.
That's right.
Okay, and the winner and loser was decided by the narrowest of margins. So the best lesson learned is a lesson experience. If you didn't learn that we can't take anything for granted, either side can take anything for granted, then you learned it over these past 4 years. Because how do you feel right now? When you get up in the morning, look, how do you feel? How do you feel about your current state? Were you better before? Were you better now? So it's all up to you. Make your voice heard. Get your seat at the table. Take it and act on it. Got to vote 2020, baby. Got to vote. Pay now to play later, because if you play now, you will pay later. I'm gonna tell you that.
Another shirt. I love that.
I think somebody else said that though. No. I heard that before.
Did you cite it? You better cite it then.
And hey, all I can tell you is he was a newt all
Oh,
day. All day.
Here we go. Did he go to ECU?
He did not go to ECU. He's in the military, but
Finally,
he's a newt.
finally, somebody didn't go to ECU. Woo, y'all everywhere, pirates everywhere. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
Pirate
It's a
Nation.
nation. It's a nation.
I'm telling you. And y'all love
We
each
don't
other like,
die, we multiply.
That's right.
I agree. Y'all everywhere. It's a new one. I meet a new one every week. So all right, Vicky, it's your turn. What is your in 60 seconds? Share your thoughts.
All I got to say is don't speak about it, be about it.
That's right.
And I'm out.
Oh, she went there. She went there.
Put it up there.
No, she got something else to say.
I do got something else to say. I just want to thank the panelists for joining us tonight. Again, thank you for supporting Gravity Talks. Like I said, Snoop, this is your second time with us. Tamara, I know you have your own show going on, and you take time out tonight to be with us tonight. And I know Miss Monica was with us earlier. But keep doing and keep fighting that great fight. Y'all are doing great work out here in the community, in the kingdom. And I just pray for restoration for you all, because I know you're burned out. I know you want to tap out. But we need y'all. We need your voice. We need your face. We need your energy to keep doing this great work that you're doing. So if you just dig deep and just try and continue to pull through, but we're counting on you, and we need you out here on this battlefield. So I just want to thank you guys for tonight. And that's it. I'm going to send some information for our streaming guests to to jot down if they feel that anything has resonated, any mental wellness feelings or thoughts, that they may want to reach out to some of the resource numbers that we'll have up here. We will have the suicide prevention line up here. We'll have the crisis number for our veterans. We'll also have for our local managed care organization in the Raleigh, Durham, Johnson, and Cumberland County areas for Alliance. That number will be coming across the screen as Ms. Natasha closes out. So again, thank you guys for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. In my closing tonight, I see we got a newcomer coming along here there. So good to have him. But I would say this, that the pandemic has done a lot for us. I know that there's some bad things connected to the pandemic, but I also will say that one thing that we've all learned is a greater level of respect for our school administrators, our teachers, you name it. You guys have definitely, you're heroes. And I think that now more than any other time that you guys are more respected than you were before. And, sometimes certain things have to happen so that you can realize how green the grass really was on the other side. And so for that, we say thank you. We say thank you to the teacher, that's the mom, and she's at home and she's got a computer to the left and she's got a toddler on the right, but yet she's still teaching everybody else's children, and she's still maintaining, and she's juggling everything all at once. Thank you. And to the principal that's going around and putting signs and going to Ellen and drinking boxed water, we definitely appreciate you as well. Going to Hollywood and luxury
Life.
and had guards and security. That's what COVID did for you. He's became a celebrity. See, I'm trying to tell y'all. So,
He got flued out.
you know what I'm saying? We all still stuck at home. He out flying.
His best life, everything.
National TV, we ain't hating, we celebrate, but I just wanted to bring that out.
Right, Snoop? That's what pirates do.
That's what we do, baby. We don't follow tradition. We make tradition all day. That's how we do.
And he has an awesome pirate wife, so she supported that effort, right?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she
Praise
did.
God.
Even though she
That's
couldn't
awesome.
go, poor baby, she supported it.
That's awesome. She didn't wait a minute, she ain't go.
She couldn't go. COVID.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's another show. Okay. That's another show. Okay. So I'm still getting prayer, by the way. But so in regards to voting, I'm just gonna say, you know what, guys, if you didn't vote, please continue to be quiet until November 3rd. Don't say anything because and saying that your vote doesn't count, that's not true. It won't count if you don't vote. That is the truth. So definitely, please make sure you get out there, get to the polls, do whatever you have to do. What this is a hoax, that's a hoax. Everything has been a hoax since March. Everything is. And then we find out a new truth and another truth. But I do know one thing, that we all have the right to vote right now. I think most of us do. Some of us have pre-existing situations that will prevent us from voting. But otherwise, if you have that right to vote, please get out there and vote. Can't tell you who to vote for, but do your research. Don't just do stuff because that's what your cousin and your mama and your grandma did. But definitely make sure that you're making a wise decision when you make that decision about what it is you want to do, what you want to see happen. And, if it doesn't go in your favor, you can't say that you didn't try. You got to be in it if you're going to win it. So, again, thank you guys so much. It was awesome. Did y'all shake your head about coming back? Did y'all give me a nod? Okay. I got the nod. So America's seen that. So now you cannot renege. So next week, our show next week is going to be mental health and hip hop part 2. So last time we had a guest rapper show up, and I'm hoping that MC Vicky gonna come back again next Monday night. So y'all in for a treat. I'm trying to tell you. So definitely, it's gonna be awesome.
I'm have my demo tape by then.
I believe so. I believe Snoop, boy, I'm telling y'all, I support you though. I got your back. So that's what our show is going to be for next week. Also, tonight I believe it's going to be at 9:00.
Yes.
At 9 p.m. we're doing our after the talk. We're going to speak with a great representative that is going to review the discussion that we had on tonight. It'll be about 15 minutes long, and they're just going to talk about what sparked interest and topics that we brought up tonight, and just further the conversation for a couple more minutes. So we'll hear from them tonight at 9:00, and it's only going to be for about 15 minutes. But again, we thank you, Mr. Wallace. We're so proud of you. And I tell you, brother, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. And in America, if you haven't seen it yet, y'all watch it. And Miss Tamara,
And also tune in for Talks with Tam too.
yes, and tune in for Talks with Tam. What time and where?
Live on Facebook, my Facebook, Tamara O'Brien Barrett, 6 o'clock on Fridays.
6 o'clock on Fridays. All right, y'all. Make sure y'all tune in. She's talking about stuff, and I know it's gonna be good because y'all know she was about to go off on me there one time.
I love you. I love
that
you.
No, girl, you good.
Out about me. I'm really a gentle spirit.
I know, but I asked the wrong question.
Theta Alpha, baby. Theta Alpha. We don't play.
But again, so y'all know she's gonna be good. Now I know it's gonna be a good show, so we're gonna definitely check you out and give you some love and support. But listen, guys, thank you again for tuning in. Remember, it's not too late to tag, like, share, let everybody know about it. It was an awesome show. Let the parents know that we have some good people having a great real life discussion. So thank you guys again, and everyone have an awesome night.
Thank you. Good night.